Gretchen, what an honor to have you here at 38 Songwriters Festival. First of all, I gotta tell you, I'm disappointed that you didn't bring a little bit of your grandma's cake that you posted on
Oh,
socials.
I should have. But it all got gobbled up by New Year's Eve.
That's just like
It's amazing.
popular cake.
It's crazy. It went kind of, I guess it kind of went viral all over the world.
Right.
I posted it at one point on my website around Christmas. It's a gingerbread, Christmas kind of thing. And people all over the world were making it. And I had a fan from the UK who did all the conversions
Yeah.
so that you could make it in another country where they're using, metric. And it's people are making it everywhere. It's my grandmother, it would blow her mind.
I bet it's not the same though. You know what I mean? Like the American ingredients, the stuff.
Ingredients are key.
Yeah. And Mexican Coke and a little.
Like I wonder about we have this thing here called blackstrap molasses.
Okay.
And in the UK it's called treacle, and I'm not totally sure if it's the same thing. So, I don't know.
Well, Gretchen, you've been critically acclaimed for many reasons. I mean, you're a legend, and we're honored to have you here. But one of them is the way that you've leaned into kind of like the dark side of the art. Like your music takes us into like really interesting, sometimes uncomfortable places. But I find that maybe that's one of the reasons why your music is so special, that comfort never makes you proud. Do you find that to be the case in your life and in your music, that you lean into the discomfort to create something?
Yeah, I think you kind of don't have one without the other. You can't everything in life is shades of darkness and light, and you can't really see the light without the contrast of the darkness. And also, I think I think every writer has sort of some kind of like underlying motivating force. I almost think it's like an itch that you have to scratch over and over again. And for different writers, I think it's different. And for me, I'm always coming back to stories about people that are kind of feeling powerless and trying to get out of situations that are difficult, and how they do it, or if they don't do it, how they cope with it or how they feel. Um, I've just always been drawn to those characters, and I think it's really important to tell their stories, because we're not all heroes, and we don't all have like the classic heroic story. I think some of the characters in my songs I think of as heroes, but of a very different kind, very kind of quiet kind that maybe flies under the radar. Um, and I think also it's healthy to bring the darkness out. I think the only thing that kind of vindicates it is bringing it into the light and turning it over and looking at it.
But Gretchen, and I asked this, I'm not an artist, so I'm fascinated with stuff like this. You mentioned that you lean into that, you seek it. But don't you, like, when you empathize as well as you do, does it make it almost like difficult to like step out? Like on even like when people talk about the movies, and they talk about like, oh, Heath Ledger went into like the role of the Joker so much that he had trouble getting out. Is that a thing with musicians as well?
Well, I do think, like for me anyway, there is a very strong parallel, or let me put it this way. I relate to actors when they talk about inhabiting a role, because my songs are very character driven, and I feel like I can't really write a character until the character is kind of walking around inside me, until I can almost speak in their voice. So I do relate to it that in that sense. But I don't find that it's disturbing or in any way sort of emotionally harmful to me. I actually find it cathartic to sort of live with these characters that are going through something difficult. There's a catharsis in there for me. So I mean,
You're able.
my flippant answer would be, hey, this is cheaper than therapy for me to write these songs.
Yeah. So you're able to be there and kind of like navigate it without.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're sitting with the characters in a very dark place or story that's very dark, um, your empathy is engaged with that character, and when your empathy is engaged, that's never a bad thing. It may be, I mean, I guess one of the things that I need in order to write. And probably this goes hand in hand with the emotional side of exploring that kind of darkness, is I need a lot of time alone to just sort of recover, or not even recover, but just sort of digest everything that's, if it's a particularly difficult story or situation.
Doing that for the art, as a consumer.
Well, I mean, I think, thank you, but I think it's kind of a compulsion on my part. I think I'd be doing it no matter whether anyone was paying attention or not. Well, I mean, I just think we're, again, like we have these. I teach songwriting, and I tell my students it's like, if you think of an oyster, the only reason the oyster makes the pearl is because there's this grain of sand that gets in there, and it's an irritant, and out of that irritant comes this beautiful, perfect thing, the pearl. But it starts with something that's an irritant, that you can't keep coming back to, and you keep,
Me too.
Yep. And I feel like that's, where to me, that's where all the songs that needed to be written, that needed to be brought into the world come from.
Gretchen,
we live in a world, as you know now, where like sound bites and kind of like quick hits with music and with me and all that. And, on the drive here from Nashville, I was listening to like on a bus, like from St. Cloud or something. And I was thinking like, I don't know if like a song like that could be made today with it just like the way people's attention span is. Am I right or am I wrong? Or do you?
No, I think there's an audience for those kind. I think what you're describing is the kind of song that really takes the full 3 to 5 minutes to move through the story with the singer, with the narrator. And there is an audience for that still, and they're all at this festival, or they're not all here, but those people are fans of the form, the song, especially the story song.
Sure.
But you're right in terms of the the mass audience. I think we're losing. I'm afraid we're losing the ability to focus for very long. People don't even seem to want to go. I'm a big movie fan, and movies really inform what I do. And I don't think people are willing to go into a movie theater and sit and just not be on their phone and not be doing anything else and just absorb. I mean, I just saw Hamnet, which was one of the most stunning things I've seen in decades, really. And I'm afraid that people just don't have that, or that we're losing that capacity, and it does worry me a lot.
I mean, I'm guilty about you're there. We're watching a movie, and I'm like, can I please not to myself? Not what's.
I am too. I mean, we are. I mean, these little things that we have in our pockets are designed to make us that way. So yeah, no, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But I do. The one place, I guess, where I have discipline is if I'm writing, I put all that away. I know that you can't consume and create at the same time. So
Yeah, and I'm hoping we're
Turning a corner, right? This us talking about it. I feel like people are having this conversation.
I think everywhere they're having it, yeah. And the one thing that encourages me is that younger people are rejecting all kinds of digital everything.
Yeah.
And I think kind of, I hope that's a trend.
Yeah,
I do.
I absolutely picture. Speaking of younger people, tell us all this time our industry has, a lot is like, young pop stars and like, late teens, and that's all been in the game. But have you found, Gretchen, that at this stage in your career where you're like a legend, like you've been icon of use took to me at my tears, do you feel like in a way it's easier for you to see things from like from like a vanguard?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the great blessings of hanging in there all these years, is to have that perspective on things. And I feel so strongly for young singer-songwriters that are coming up right now, because it's such a different world than it was when I arrived in Nashville, you know. Um, well, nobody was asking me to create content every day I mean, they were asking, the transaction, if you will, back then was, you write a great song, it'll probably something will happen it'll go out into the world in some form or another because a great song is undeniable. And I really believe that, and I think it was true, at least in Nashville in the 90s, let's say, Um, a good song, maybe not, but a great song would find its way. It would fight its way out of the bag and get out there. And I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I think that uh, young artists, they have to be incredibly creative about how they design their careers. There's not one path, there's 500 paths. And the most obvious paths probably are not the right ones for most artists anymore. I'm really glad that I went the independent route when I did, which was relatively early. I mean, as an artist. I mean, it was the year 1999, I think. I just had my kind of major label experience. I thought I'm not giving my art away. I'm just not going to do that anymore. But these days, there are just so many paths, so many ways to do it. But I think the thing that makes me really feel so much empathy for young musicians is that it used to be that you made a record and then you toured to sell the record, and then record sales tanked. And then you made a record as an advertisement for the tour. And now touring has become so difficult for that lower to middle tier of young touring musicians. It's really financially just forbidding for them. So what do you do at this point? Do you stay home and you go on YouTube every day? I mean, it's a lot of rough choices, and I think I'm very part of the thing about having that helicopter view, as you say, is I'm so grateful for being in Nashville in the 90s. I mean, we sort of knew it was a golden age, but once it was over, we really knew.
Wow.
And I'm happy you bought that episode out, because I was like, when you went independent, because you really were a pioneer of doing that, kind of like rejecting the label system and all that, Gretchen.
It was considered, even being on an independent label, even not your own label, but any independent label, was considered kind of less than.
Yeah.
It was not a path that anyone was encouraged to take.
Right.
It was more like a path that somebody would be forced to take, maybe. But I just was stunned by the idea that I would write the songs, record the songs, put everything that I had into a record, and that whole process can take 2 years from start to finish easily, and then walk away and they'll own it.
Yeah.
I mean,
You had the foresight.
that's insane. So yeah,
But you're celebrated for that now, but like back then, was it hard? Because that takes a lot of courage in 1999.
it was definitely not. Yeah, it was hard in one sense that because there weren't really any or very many trailblazers, for one thing. John Prine was one of them, but there weren't that many people doing it. So it was sort of hard to figure out, well, how do I do this? What do I actually do now that I'm an entity of one?
Sure.
I think it was hard in that sense, but it was an easy choice to make because at my core, I really believe an artist should own their art. I can't get past that.
No. No, I'm there for you. Well, Gretchen, you got a busy weekend, and I know you're going to pass on for us. We're very excited. So let me leave you with this, Gretchen.
When it's all said and done and we go to the other side or whatever, and your art lives forever,
What do you want in your last night? What do you want people to kind of like think of and feel
when they watch it,
Mm,
the Gretchen, art.
Gosh, what a great question. I guess the ultimate thing is to feel that you've moved somebody's heart, that something has shifted internally. If I can make somebody feel that just in the space of 3 to 5 minutes, that my song is, reaching their ears, that's what I'm here to do, really.
And it's accomplished already, can tell you that.
Thank you.
Everyone else, okay, so makes you
Yeah, you want to think so this one.
Yes. speaking of characters that I love, that got inside me and walked around and talked, I think this woman in this song is probably my favorite character of all the ones I've written. I've got 5 minutes to sneak a cigarette. 5 minutes to myself. Back behind the screen door of Andy's luncheonette. And I ain't got time to worry about my health. My boss Andy says I'll smoke myself to death. Andy, he reminds me some of you. Back when you were Romeo and I was Juliet. West Texas, Capulet, and Montague. I don't think too much about you anymore. We weren't much more than kids. It was nearly 20 years ago I shut and locked that door. Now I've got 5 minutes, not much time to reminisce. Well, most nights I come home from work and I pour a glass of wine. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 before I stop. And Jessie makes a sandwich if I sleep through supper time. But she leaves me on the couch to sleep it off. Now Jessie just turned 17 and she's wild as she can be. And there ain't nothing I can do. Last weekend she ran off to meet a boy in Tennessee, just like I used to run you. I gave her hell when she came home this afternoon. Mascara running down her face. It seems like history repeats itself, and it ain't up to you. And in 5 minutes, your whole life can change. Andy, he's good to me, and I can see it in his eyes. He'd love to take your place, but something deep inside me just withers up and dies to make love to him and only see your face. Somehow I've let myself go gently down the street. A fine example I have set between the working and the living and the ghosts that haunt my dreams. I've got 5 minutes and I'm gonna smoke this cigarette.
Thank you for tuning in. Click here to subscribe and get the latest from the show, including exclusive behind-the-scenes footage and once-in-a-lifetime performances. And as always, thank you for making Jrodconcerts Media part of your day.